So clearly there's going to be a lot of like sweeping moves and things like that when it comes to Xbox. You've got a new CEO. She's going to get out there and try to get, her way out, I guess probably as quickly as possible. I thought they should do like a big press conference and just lay everything out. I think that's the main thing that Xbox fans want at this time, right? Are we getting exclusives back? Are we not? But I think the biggest question is, why should people buy an Xbox? Or why should people who have an Xbox be happy? Those are the big questions that really need the answering, because I think Microsoft has done a really bad job. And now, even though they did get rid of Phil, they did get rid of Sarah, and even though they're doing something, bringing something new, if they're just carrying on with 100% the same that they were doing before, then what was the point? So that's kind of my question right there. You have to be able to have some good things lined up, a plan, something to get people back excited again about Xbox, or get Xbox back in the kind of realm of people wanting to actually mess with it and play it. You gotta do something, and let's kind of see what's going to happen there. But we did get a very interesting piece of news out of this that I thought was interesting. It looks like Xbox is reportedly exploring bringing more premium subscriptions to Game Pass. The rumor that Microsoft may add new subscriptions to Ultimate is true. Grabbing the expensive tier may be worth it for some people. I'll give the news, and then I'll give my particular take on this. So it says Microsoft might add new subscriptions to Game Pass, like World of Warcraft, Fallout First, Microsoft Realms, and more, according to new rumors. Now, while these should be taken with a pinch of salt at this stage, it could make the Ultimate tier feel a little bit more worth it outside of the Game Pass lineup itself. Recently, Tom Warren at The Verge spoke about all things Xbox will be working on throughout 2026, which confirmed that Fallout 3 Remaster was still happening. However, Warren also vaguely discussed how Microsoft was in, quote, the early stages of exploring ways to expand its Game Pass subscription lineup, but didn't elaborate beyond that. Thankfully, in a new video posted, Jez Corden from Windows Central has gone into more detail about these potential new Game Pass subscription models and what they could be. He says, and I quote, I think there was a report recently, I think it was Tom Warren in his newsletter on The Verge. He said something along the lines of Microsoft trying to look at ways to add even more value to Game Pass. I think like making it so there were more reasons to subscribe at $30 is probably like for them a race against time right now, where they're at. So we need to make this work, and it has to feel like it's going to be worthwhile for people. One thing I did hear, right, and I don't know if this would ever happen, but one thing I did hear is they were exploring putting World of Warcraft subscription and some other subscriptions they got, like Fallout First, Microsoft Realms. They were exploring putting that in Game Pass Ultimate. Now, if they did that, if they put World of Warcraft, Minecraft Realms, Fallout First subscription, and Elder Scrolls subscription, if they put all that into Game Pass, then oh boy, does it become worth it for $30 for me. Considering the recent Game Pass price hike, it depends on what you're looking into. Getting all these subscriptions added to the Ultimate tier would possibly help alleviate some of the new costs, especially if you play any of the aforementioned games. Ultimately, it may become far more worthwhile than it feels right now. Obviously, you get access to some day one games, that a lot of people, some people like, some people don't. It really kind of depends. I think the games themselves have to be a little bit better to make it worthwhile. I'm not even part of Game Pass right now, not even the lowest tier. So, I think it would take something pretty big to kind of get me back into that. But here's the main thing, right? I think because you already have the Fortnite stuff, you've got all this stuff. There's only so much time in a month, is what I'm saying, right? If you're adding, right, like if you're somebody who likes just playing the games and the day one games and stuff, that's going to take up most of your time. But you get like the Fortnite stuff, but people that play Fortnite stay locked into that like all the time. World of Warcraft is like crack for people. And anyway, that's not even on console, so what good would that do a console gamer, to be honest with you? Microsoft Minecraft Realms, isn't that like another like game that takes time? And Fallout and Elder Scrolls Online, these are games that like are designed to suck time. They're like games as a service games. So like why not just do a la carte? I mean, why so obsessed with having this $30 price point? I mean, obviously they lost a lot of people at that price point, but why do that then? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Make it a la carte. Like for me, I want to play online, get the day one games, that's it. Why should that be any more than $20 a month? You know, I don't want Ubisoft Classics or EA Play or, you know, to be able to stream games. I don't care about any of that crap. You know, I just want the two things. That's it. I don't care about Minecraft Realms or Fortnite or, you know, any of this other stuff. Like, I try to be as honest as I can about it. So I know probably a lot of you are like that too, because you know, again, like, while it maybe would look good on paper, like, hey, we got all this stuff that we can offer you, is anybody going to actually be able to you know, do anything specific to use all these things? Like, you couldn't use these things if you wanted to, all of them in a month or whatever. You know, it's just crazy how this kind of works. I think my main hope would be to just listen to the fans more. You know, you've got to be able to kind of listen to what people are asking for. You know, I don't know. I think people are maybe asking for more of a reason to buy into Game Pass, but, you know, all that stuff, I just don't think that would have the appeal that people would think it would have, right? It's like, if somebody's really into Warcraft, that's probably the only thing they're playing. You know, they're not going to pay $30, and if they do, they're not. I mean, it's really just a waste, because they're not going to be using any of the other stuff. So that's sort of where I'm at with this. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it is a little bit strange to me. I do think that it is one of those situations where we can possibly wait and see, but you know, I'm gonna personally, like, for me, like I said, I am without Game Pass for the first time since its inception, right? Like, we couldn't give that stuff away. Me and Mooch used to do the M&C mornings, and people would give us a year of Game Pass to give away as prizes, and people would rather have like a $5 indie game at that point. Now, you know, it's come a long way since then, but at that same point, you know, to me, it's like, I think Game Pass has had sort of a negative effect for a few reasons, and one of those reasons is, I think it's conditioned gamers not to buy games. I think that it's hurt Xbox because people aren't buying as many games. Obviously, it cuts into the sales. It also, because they've got to constantly feed this beast, you're in a situation where, you know, you're not maybe going to put out your best effort. It's like Microsoft has put out a bunch of games. Like last year, people were celebrating that, but when you're thinking offhand, like, what did they even release? Because it was like a lot of like mid-level stuff, and stuff that isn't going to be remembered long term or isn't going to be played long term. So I think that's sort of where we're at right now. I hope that they kind of can get something going to where fans can be, you know, excited again. You know, honestly, like I've said numerous times before, you've got to be able to get out there and get fans excited. You can't just, and you can't just placate them either, right? Like what they're doing right now, or what she's doing, or AI bot, or whatever the heck that is. Obviously, I feel like that's a situation where they're doing the same thing over and over and over again, you know? And you know, and that's just sort of where we're at with this stuff. So, you know, like, I find it to be strange. I'm sure a lot of you find it to be strange, but I also just think that gamers in general are going to have to kind of talk to Microsoft and figure out what they want from Microsoft, and Microsoft has to either listen or not. It's like, tell me why I should have an Xbox, why I should care about Xbox, what's the reason, and don't tell me Game Pass, because you need to have something a little bit more than that. You know what I mean? Like I said, Game Pass isn't even something I'm using right now. It doesn't really make a heck of a lot of sense to me to be able to kind of utilize Game Pass when we've got all this other stuff going on, and you know, that's not what I want. You know, I want great games. I will buy my games if you just give me some great, amazing content, and you know, they've really kind of failed to do that for the majority of Xbox being a thing. So hopefully they can do that. I would love to see them, like, you know, actually do something for the gamer. But if they're just going to do the same stuff that Phil and Sarah was doing anyway, you might as well kept Phil and Sarah. You know, like, it doesn't. If you're going to change things and shake things up, then change things and shake things up. You know, at least that would be the hope anyway. What do you guys feel though about the new content? Would you like that type of new content in Game Pass? If you're a Game Pass subscriber, did you even use any of this stuff? I'm really curious. I don't know anybody who's a Game Pass subscriber who uses all the stuff that Game Pass has to offer, right? Just, it seems like people would much rather have $10 off than have all this extra added stuff. Okay, anyway, thanks for watching. Rack 'em up. Please like, share, subscribe. Crap Gamer out.